And if you can look into the camera and say and spell your name.
Johnny Zaninovich, Johnnny, Z as in zebra, Anino, V as in Victor, Ich.
And Mr. Zaninovich, you were born in the United States, but were your folks?
No, they were born, at that time they were born in Yugoslavia, which is now Croatia.
And why did they leave Yugoslavia? That's a big deal to leave where you're from.
Well, it was, I understand, so rough over there, they had to make a move to make a living to survive. So they decided to come to America and try to how would I say, the American dream, I guess.
And the American dream, what was that?
Well, it was to make yourself, elevate yourself and support your family and give them a better life than what they had, and send us to school and teach us to value money and respect. Well, there's a lot more I bet what I came here for, but my dad came here in 1921, and he landed in Ellis Island, and then they came to Fresno, and then they settled in the little town of Orange Cove, Sultana, and then Dinuba. They had a ranch there in Dinuba, and they farmed table grapes. And then in 1942, they sold the ranch, because they were in partnership. The partners wanted to sell. They sold the ranch and they moved to Parlier. And that's where I was 8 years old when I moved to Parlier.
And when did you start helping your family on the farm?
Well, I was probably 5, 6, 7 years old. Because when I was, actually it was 1940, up to 1942, we had mules. And I remember standing on boxes to put, and I was only 8 years old, standing on a box to put the harness on. And then we started working. Then my dad purchased a tractor and sold mules, and he was taking me on the tractor, riding with him, and that's how I learned how to drive a tractor.
And how old were you then?
Well, probably 9 years old, something like that.
So, sometimes I'll ask you obvious questions, but that's because I'm cutting my name out. Okay? I'm cutting my voice out. So don't be afraid to repeat my question, if you will, to give your answer context. But, so were you ever relieved to go to school?
Well, especially working during the summertime, I was relieved to go to school. Because that's how families did in those days. They worked. Everybody worked on the ranch. If they didn't work on the ranch, they got a job when they're older on the outside. But still, it was all farm, related work at that time. So, but you learn a lot back there, and you learn the basics, and right now you still use the basics.
What are the basics?
Well, one thing is, you treat the other person the way you want to be treated. Want to be treated with respect. And the basics, as far as a vine, there's a certain way you can prune it, and there's a certain way you can water it. And
how do you believe they should be watered?
Well, the vine talks to you. In other words, you look at the vine, and if it's stressing out a little bit, you better put the water on there. you know, vines are like human beings. I mean, they need water, they need food, and you can't, you know, a strong vine you can give a heavy crop, a heavy load, but a weak vine, just like people, you can't give them a heavy load. So you just gotta get the feel of what the vine can take and what it needs. But anyway, getting back to way back there, way back, my dad's dad, which is my grandfather, he came over here in 1904.
Did he speak English?
No,
What did he speak?
he spoke Croatian, yeah. So, but anyway, in 1904 he came here and he landed at Ellis Island, and they ended up at San Francisco at the Cliff House, and he was a dishwasher at the Cliff House. And that was 1904, and in 1906, the earthquake came up in San Francisco, and I guess it really upset him, so he went back to Yugoslavia. And then he was there, and I remember my dad and mom making up these big burlap sacks and putting clothes in there and sending it back there to at that time Yugoslavia, because the people didn't have no clothes back there, and they needed, you know. But anyway, and then my mother died in 1935, and I was 6 months old. Then my grandfather, my dad's dad, came over to help my dad, because we had, you know, my 3 oldest sisters and myself. So he stayed there for about 3 years until my dad remarried, and he went back home back to Yugoslavia, or now Croatia. Yeah, so.
He went back there to meet a wife, or he went back there?
No, my grandfather, he just went back there to live, and that was it, you know, and then he died back there. But anyway, and then my stepmom, you know, nowadays they say how either your mom or somebody helps you at the homework, you know, but in those days, my stepmom didn't speak English, so we had to help them to on their to get their citizenship, their constitution. I mean, you know, to ask them all the questions, this and that, and help them out to get their citizenship. You know, but
did you relate to the farm workers that came later that also didn't speak English? Could you sympathize with their position in life?
well, there was a lot of nationalities back there that I grew up with. You know, when I grew up there in Parlier, there was, you know, a lot of Armenian people, a lot of Japanese, a lot of Koreans, a lot of Hispanics, Germans. So there was an international build up there, I guess. You know, and a lot of the moms and dads, the first generation, like, you know, they couldn't speak too much English. You know, but then they wanted to learn English, so they went to, you know, I imagine some probably went to night school and this and that and everything else. So
Did you speak Croatian as a child?
yeah, I did, because my stepmom, she couldn't speak English.
Do you think you would understand it today?
I understand the old dialect, not the new dialect. My sister, which is, she's 89, 7 years old, 7 years older than him. You know, we talk every now and then, and she speaks fluently, so we talk and just so we don't forget it.
So you could speak it still?
To get by, I speak it and I understand it, and you know, this and that. So.
Could you introduce yourself to me?
Ja sam Ivan Mondishin. And that translates to, I am John Mondishin. And the reason why they call it Mondishin because in the old country there was so many Johns in that village where they grew up, so they had, I guess, a nickname, you know, Mondishian and Mollabonkin and this and that, and that's how, you know, but that's how they recognize me. I'm talking about in the old country, not so much here.
One thing that's interesting to me about the Slavs, and that's what I hear folks call that region, so I hope that's not offensive, but
No, just, yeah.
yeah, like people ask me, does it bother you when we call you a Jew? I'm like, well, it's what I am, so what can I do?
Well, that's just, I'm a Slav.
Yeah,
I'm a
that's
Slav.
it. Yeah, I'm a Jew. What can you do? So there's a lot of fraternity. There's a lot of brotherhood. There's a lot of Slav helping Slav. And I've seen that a lot with the Caratan family, with Marin setting up shop, and then his descendants. And I know I'm grossly oversimplifying things, but you know, also picking up the shovel, so to speak, and specializing in different things and contributing to the greater good.
Mm-hmm.
Did you have that experience of feeling like you could count on people to do the right thing, like you were telling me earlier, doing things the right way? You know?
Oh yeah, that's you know, you depend on people like that, you know, to get the job done, and you know, they're interested in what they're doing, and you know, you like to make people feel at ease when you're working with each other, and then it all becomes like family, you know, basically. But getting back to you know, as in Parlier till I went to Parlier High School and Reedley Junior College, and well, those days of Reedley Junior College, now it's Reedley College, okay.
Yes.
And so anyway, after that I went to Fresno State for a few months. I couldn't go too far away from home because my dad had arthritis, and he couldn't do too much work. So I did a lot of work, helped him out. And in fact, I went out for football at Fresno State, and before school started, you had practice 2 weeks, practice before school, 6 o'clock in the morning and 6 o'clock in the evening. So after practice, I'd come on home, which is about 25 miles, and then working home, and then go back to practice. But I had to quit because I lost too much weight. So I went to Fresno State for about a few months, and then I said, I can't do this, man. I got to stay to help my dad. So anyway, as soon as I quit Fresno State, a few months later, I got my draft notice, and that was lucky. It was peacetime, okay. So I got drafted into the Army, and spent a couple of years in the Army, and like I say, it was peacetime, and I played a little basketball there and a little baseball, you know. And then I was before that, you know, I was engaged, and then when I got home, before I got home, my wife says, no, my fiance said at that time, we're either going to get married or we're going to break up, you know. So a few months after I got home, we got married. And then after that, I worked for my dad for about a year. My wife was working in Bank of America there in Selma, and I worked for my dad for about a year. And at that time, it was $1 an hour, 10 hours a day, and it was 6 days a week.
In my business, you hear everything. My little microphones, boy, it drives me nuts.
Yeah.
Anyway, so you.
Anyway, I worked for my dad there for about a year, and after we got married, my wife worked at the Bank of America, and then after that we got married in '59, early '59, and yeah, in July, it's like 1960 there, I think July, we got our first child. And my wife quit work, then the $1 an hour didn't go too far, so I tried to, there was a Mount Tiger winery, which was only a few miles from my dad's house. So I tried to work there at night to make a living. I did that for 2 weeks, and I came home and told my wife, I says, I can't do that. I says, and the ranch wasn't enough to one family, let alone two families, okay, at that time. So anyway, my dad, we talked, and I said that I'm going to come down to ask my Uncle Nat for a job here in Delano. And my dad leased the ranch out, which that was fine. They had some, they were able to make it, and then I came here, started for my aunt and uncle on October 15th, 1960. And been here ever since.
And did you finally get to sit on your duff and relax?
Oh no, you don't do that.
What do you do?
You give a man an honest day to work, man. You want to go home at night, and see you did all you could, and happy to get up in the morning and go to work. Okay, so
is that what drove you?
You know, I think competition. You know, we're all competitive. You know, just and I think that was instilled probably when we were younger. And plus sports. You know, it just they say that they're happy to be in a Super Bowl, but I think you better say, happy to be in the Super Bowl, but I want to win it.
Yeah, if you ask me about my athletic career, I'm not going to tell you about my biggest win. I'm going to tell you about a time, boy, it still pisses me off. It was a close loss, man.
Yeah.
And I'll know forever what I could have done differently, but so it goes. You know, if I saw that guy today, I'd ask him how he feels about going 6 minutes with me. He's not going to catch me twice, but anyway.
It is off the record, but
yeah.
When I was playing Ridley College, we were playing Shasta Junior College up there, and they were ranked up there. I don't know, I think 15th or
Shasta
Junior College.
Oh yeah, they can fling it. Yeah.
So anyway, we went there to play them football, and I was going out for a pass, and we were down the goal line about 10 yards away. And the goal line in those days were
No, the posts
were on the goal line.
Oh yeah, they were.
Yeah. So anyway, I went in, and I went out, and I was down on, I hit the ground. You know, and I got up, and I said, the coaches came out there, the manager, and I said, what the hell happened? I said, that guy really threw a block on me. He said, and it was steel goalpost. He said, look at the goalpost. Now they call me Goalpost Johnny.
I think that's all right. I think that's a wonderful story. We're close. The one thing I did want to ask you was, how did you come to know the Caratan family?
Well, Marty's dad, Louis, or Marty's grandpa, Marion, him and my dad were pretty close friends up in when my dad was in Zaninovich. So I remember Louis, Marty's dad, coming. See, Louis and I were the same age. And Louis, I remember when I was maybe 3 or 4 years old. Louis, we played together in the yard there, you know. And that's the first time I met Louis. You know. But then when we moved down here, we lived about a mile and a half west of Georgianne and her mom and dad, Caratans. Mm-hmm. In fact, my daughter Katie and Georgianne are the same age. They went to school together. Yeah. And they were good buddies. You know? So anyway, I never forget we took Georgianne and Carrie Ann and Janet. Was it Janet? Yeah. We took it down to Disneyland. I never forget her mother saying, when I went to pick her up, she says, "Johnny, you got all my eggs in one basket. So be careful." So anyway, then I met, naturally her dad and mom, and that's how I met the Caratans. I didn't know Mr. Caratan
Marin.
Yeah, Marin. I knew her grandfather, Anton, but not, they were well, older than I, but got to know the kids, the children,
Right.
In fact, I was telling Marty, Francis there when we first came, Delano, we were good friends of Lewis and his wife Mary, which is Marty's mom and dad. And Marty, I think, is a year younger than Katie. But they used to live over here on now it's Pandole, I think, isn't it? And Katie and Marty used to play in the play band together when they were, 2, 3 years old.
Do you have any photographs of that?
No, I don't.
Okay, well, we'll look into it though.
Yeah. So anyway, that's.
But you had a good opinion of them?
Oh, great! Yeah, they were.
Pretend she's not here.
I was gonna say.
When I take out some of the finest people that I know, I mean, just like her dad. I'd love to be around him. Him and I have a good time.
What's his name?
George
Caratan.
Caratan.
Okay, very good. And why do you say that? You seem to kind of light up when you said they were great people. And from what I've observed of them, it's like a rainbow of personalities, really, right?
Yeah, really. And George and Dad George, they got farm close to my uncle and aunts and my cousin there. And George always had time to stop and talk to you, When he was a busy man, he always had time to talk, and we talk about sports, we talk about whatever, this stuff. But, all the people down here are all great people. I mean,
Why is it important to stop and talk like that? Or I should ask you, is it important to stop and talk like that?
I think it is, because, that they take time and they respect you, they'll stop and talk to you, and you appreciate that, and then we exchange, the scores and this and that and everything else, so. And we talk about everything, okay?
Does it make it easy to talk about tough stuff when you have to?
Oh, definitely, yeah.
Perfect.
Just, especially if you're relaxed with the person,
Right.
Yeah, so.
You don't have to skip straight to the hard stuff. We have some great stuff from you. I'm very happy with it. The stuff that you shared about knowing the vines and them being like people is awesome. So thank you for that.
But like I say, I worked with my uncle and aunt, and I'm so indebted to them that they gave me a job, and then their son Mark took over. And his mother and my mother are two sisters. Okay, so he's close to me like a brother. Okay, who I work for, and it's been a good ride. It's been, had ups and downs. I mean, lost my wife here 10, 11 years ago. But hey, you got to keep going. Georgiana lost her mother real young.
She's been dead now as long as she was alive.
Yeah.
42 years.
But it's been a good life. I mean, I grew up in Parlier and Zaninovich, Parlier, Reedley. But I spent 26 years there, but I've spent 56 years here. So this is my home, but my roots were back there. Okay, so.
Hey, but you can move a grapevine, right? So you're in Kern County now. You're a Kern County guy, right?
Yeah.
Thank you for your time.
Well, I just hope it was okay.
It was incredible. Nobody has explained actually caring for grapes like how you explained it. That was very interesting.
Yeah, so.
Very clever. You can unclip that and leave it on the
Oh,
table.
yeah. I was gonna take it.
I know you were, and it's mine. You can't have it.
Hey, don't put that in about me hitting the goalpost, huh?
What?
Oh, you didn't hear it.
No. We've all got those little bits of fun.
You know, I tell you one little story, okay, real quick.
Oh, please, yes.
When I was playing for Reedley College, and our coach, well, you went to USC.
No, my sister did. Carrie Ann and Anton.
Anton, yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, they said, hey, USC's going to scout you, So he let me play in those days you played, like I say, both ways, because I played most of the game. So anyway, Monday at practice, they said, Johnny, man, they're really impressed. You know, USC is really impressed with you. They're gonna call you, you know, and let you, and they wanna talk to you. And that was, 64 years ago. I'm still waiting for the call.
That's funny.
Leave it to the SoCal flakes, right? I'm sorry, what did you just say? You said what about the old days?
Well, in the old days, when you asked for a job and you appreciate, they said, okay, and in those days, you never asked, you know, how much you're gonna pay me, this and that, whatever it is, it is. We just got a job, and we're thankful to have a job. And, so that's, and you work hard, you know, you start from the bottom and you work your way up, you know, so that's about it, I guess. I'll bite him a little apart here.